What's up guys, PapaGames here, and today I'm going to be taking everything out of the Core P3. This is my Ryzen 1700X GTX 1080 build, and I'm going to be putting it into the Phateks Eclipse P400 tempered glass. I know I just did the FX 8370 build in this, but after doing it I just really decided that, you know, I like that case a lot. You can tell there's a really good size difference in it. Not only height and width, but also depth. So that's just some of the reasons why I'm wanting to switch it over. And the reason I went with the Core P3 in the first place was back when I had Crossfire. I was having a really hard time with the heat in the Phateks Eclipse P400. So now that won't be an issue because you got the hybrid GTX 1080, which is, you know, half air, half liquid. That thing never goes above like mid 50s under heavy load. And of course liquid cooled on the Ryzen 1700X, and same thing, hangs out in the 50s under load, so, or sometimes I guess in the 60s. So that's it guys, that's the gist of it. Get started on this video. I'm just going to take the front covers off of these and we'll get started from there. Alright guys, for the first part of this I'm going to take out the GPU first and just get it out of the way. So with this being a hybrid, I'm going to have to take off the radiator also. I'll start by taking off these little straps here. Boy, EVGA makes some good Velcro, let me tell you. In some ways I'll be kind of happy to go back to a closed case, not have to deal with the dust so much. Not that it's horrible on the Core P3, but it's definitely better in a closed case, especially with the radiators. Alright, I'm going to take the back off of this. And a couple of screws to take off back here for the radiator. The reason is I had this doing a push-pull through the radiator for the GPU here, just to keep the temps really low. I found out with this EVGA hybrid that if you don't use the original fan that comes with it, because you can see there's that cable that comes off the card, then there's no way to monitor your fan speed or make any kind of adjustments to it through the software. Well, I guess you could, but they got a funky adapter. I'll show that to you guys when I unhook it. And you'd have to get some kind of a conversion from a, I don't know, a frickin' 4-pin to a 2-pin. It's really weird. I'll show it to you when I unhook it. But anyways, I didn't have one around, so I had to stick with the original fan. But I wanted to use all the ring fans on, you know, stacked up 1, 2, 3 on the front of this Core P3. So I went ahead and doubled it up so that way I could have one in the front also, but still maintain the one that I had to have connected to it in order to monitor the fan temps. I got some hook and loops back here for cable management. I know one of you guys requested that I do a video on cable management, and I told them next time I did a build I would include that in, so I'll be covering that today too, how I handle my cable management. So, alright, done back there. So the whole radiator's loose now. I can go ahead and unplug this fan. Okay, so here's the connector I was telling you about. I'm going to see if I can get this to zoom in, focus on that connector. Having a hard time. There we go. Okay, so I guess it's a 3, shows as a 3-pin, but you can see there's a hole there. So, and it only has 2 wires coming out of it. And then this is the other end of it, which also has only 2 pins inside of it. So I couldn't find any kind of a adapter or connector that I had laying around to where I could just use any kind of fan that I wanted to with the hybrid. So I just went ahead and stuck with the original and then doubled it up and put the ring fan and a push-pull on there. And before I take that all the way loose, I'm going to go ahead and take these PCI Express cables out. I know my hands are kind of shaky this morning. I've been drinking a lot of coffee. Alright. So, I'm not going to go through a whole tutorial on how to do everything because I kind of covered that yesterday. Alright. There's $570. I'm just going to start disconnecting everything. I'm going to have to look those up on the motherboard manual again. How to hook those up. Just undo all the power here. So to make this transfer easier, I'm going to leave. And I don't have any thermal paste. So I'm gonna leave the Corsair cooler connected to the Ryzen and the motherboard, and then I'm just gonna do the swap and all at the same time with the radiator, motherboard, processor, RAM, and all that. So it shouldn't take too long to actually do that. This is just the bracket that holds the power supply on the Core P3 here. Might as well disconnect those too. I use these thumb screws on everything that I can. And even if you can't get your thumb into them, they're usually just easier to get to, so I really like them. So what's your guys' thoughts on Vega? I was watching some benchmarks yesterday, and the Frontier Edition wasn't even keeping up with the 1080. That kind of made me sad. I was really hoping we'd see more out of that. Set that up there for now. Yeah, I don't know what AMD is thinking, but something's going to have to change. They did it with the processors, I'll give them that. But they really need to step it up in the GPU department. Well, in the high-end GPU, 4K department I should say, because the 480s and 580s are freaking great for 1080p and 1440p, and the way they handle DirectX 12 is great, but the Radeon software still sucks. The drivers are unstable, and I've done a lot with them. Done a lot of tutorials on them, a lot of reviews, a lot of benchmarks, and the stability just doesn't seem to ever get better. I'd like it to, but it's just not. There's the 3 terabyte hanging up on the back there. Hook that SATA. These cables here are the connectors for the H100i. Grab me a little pair of scissors here real quick. Got a little zip tie I need to snip back here. Try not to use zip ties too much. I use these hooking loops like this instead, these Velcros. You can get a whole bunch of these from like Walmart for a couple of dollars, and they're awesome for cable management. And reusable, so you don't have to keep clipping the zip ties. Plus the zip ties, if you do them too tight, they can rub into the wires. Another reason I don't like to use them too much. Anybody wondering about these Corsair H100s? Durability, longevity, whatever you want to call it. I guess I've had mine about a year now and haven't had a lick of trouble out of it. Been a really good, got this phone cord hanging down here. I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do with the cooler yet and the ring fans. I don't know if I want them up top and one at the back, or if I want two in the front and one in the back and just not have fans up top. I don't think it's really going to be necessary with all the water cooling to have fans out the top too, but we'll see what temperatures look like once I get it all going. Alright, that should all be disconnected now. Might as well go ahead and take these ring fans off here too, because I'm going to clean them up, clean the radiator up before I put it all in the new case. No, I had somebody comment the other day, said that they were too worried about going liquid, you know. And I used to be the same way. And once you go liquid, and you don't have to deal with the heat anymore, you'll never go back. I'm telling you. I want to do a custom loop at some time with some color, you know, some dyed liquid, hard tubing, but that's a whole nother project. And when I do that, I'd probably go back to the Core P3 because that looks great with the when you got your GPU flipped and the hard tubing in it. But with this hybrid, this all-in-one, you know, the hoses are already connected to the GPU, so I don't know if there's some kind of way you can convert it over to be able to do hard tubing on it. I'm sure there probably is, but I don't think I would mess with it. You go to modifying all your stuff like that, then it ruins your resale value, you know. So well, let me see. I think we're about ready to just take the motherboard off and slap it into the other case. Well, I gotta make sure to, well, I guess the standoffs will be right, since I did them for the Asus 970 Pro Gaming Aura for the FX. now I gotta start getting into this one. But for now, I'm just gonna get this glass out of the way. Put it somewhere safe. Because this is a real tempered glass, not plexiglass. Alright, sorry about that. Get this fan stacked up over here and out of the way. And see what else we can do here. What else can we tear up? I think I'm just going to go ahead and, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the motherboard off here. That way I can just get the Core P3 frame out of the way. Let me tell you, this is fun trying to do all this vertical so that I can video it. I got screws falling everywhere. Anybody watch Game of Thrones last night? We're going to have to watch the DVR. First 2 episodes have been pretty good. Let me see. Oh. Okay, there it is. We got one more here. Alright. We are loose. That over here out of the way. Sure I don't bend any pins or nothing. This would be a lot easier if this would have been a lot easier if I had some Thermaltake, because then I could have just you know, started back from scratch. But I'm going to have to keep everything together as far as the water cooling goes in order to make the transfer. All right. Get all these motherboard screws gathered up. Over there. These are little tiny thumb screws for tempered glass. Screws we took out of the H100i version 2. Put those there. And we'll get this into focus now. So first thing I'm going to do here is pop this off, because I got to get these fans out and take the back off to get to all the wires. I know I'm not showing you guys much back there right now, but I will cover it when I'm putting it all back together. I'll show you guys how to get these cables nice and tidy. these looking as good as Papa's. I know there's better looking out there. But ain't all of us on an unlimited budget either, so some of us just got to work with what we got, you know. Alright, so since I'm not going to be doing anything with this FX right now, build, I don't know if I'm going to put it back in the Core P3 or just buy another case. So I'm going to get this one fan out of the way, and then we're just going to yank this whole thing out of here. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera a little bit, guys. Unscrew the GPU. The audio. Should be about it. Get ready to start pulling this one out. Trying to get to these little boogers first. Right at the edge. I don't recommend doing this vertical. It sucks. We got one up here. We're about loose. Move this chair out of the way. I might have to turn it a little bit so I can get a hold of it, guys. They do have different colors for this case. I just picked the red one, and red's my favorite color, so I lucked out with computer parts because it seems like that's the most common. Actually, black and red are my two favorite colors together, so. Alright, that's all loose and out of there. I don't know what I'm using here yet. No, I'm not. I'm going to use this little 500 gig hard drive so that can come out. And pull it out of this one. These are the hard drive trays for the Core P3. And what they do is they hang up on the back, on the inside. and you put them down in a little thing, and then you flip them up, and then you just screw it in right there, and they just stay vertical like that. Now these work a little different. Come out of there. Alright, there we go. 500 out, 3 terabyte in. Okay. Just click those in and then it's locked into place. And I'll wait and show you guys how that goes in on the back on this after a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take these Corsair fans off, because I'm probably going to wind up just putting the radiator right there. And I'm going to try not to do a push-pull on it, because to be honest, at the 3.9 gigahertz overclock on the 1700X, I haven't seen any temps, and that's with like heavy benchmarking and gaming that are anything to be concerned with to need to do a push-pull on it. And I really don't plan to overclock any higher than 3.9 because it's nice and stable. It scores real good on the benchmarks, and to me it's just unnecessary for, you know, my use, because running the YouTube channel and doing all the rendering in Sony Vegas, stability is really important to me, you know. There ain't nothing worse than being in the middle of a half-hour render and then your computer crashes and you got to start it all the way over, which I had quite a bit at the beginning with the Ryzen until I figured out good overclock settings, which I have a video on my channel for that. So, alright, I'm going to take a short break, guys, and I'll be back. Alright, guys, I was able to salvage my case badges off of the power supply and added in some new, go ahead and get you on in there, added in some new Strix stickers there that also came with the motherboard. We got the ROG one and then the Strix. Looking pretty slick if I say so myself. Alright, so now we can put this power supply in. The reason I'm putting the power supply in first is if you watched my 8370 build, I did that because I like to run my cables and everything up through here before I put the motherboard in, because with this shroud, once you put the motherboard in, it's really hard to get anything through there because it sits so close to the bottom. Well, that thumb screw don't work very good for the power supply, so I'll just use some standard ones. See what we got here. Standard power supply screws. What's new with everybody? What are you guys playing? Did you see that tank domination video I put up? for Battlefield 1. Been starting to stream a little bit of multiplayer on that. And my upload here is only 6 MB per second. My download's great, it's 85. But, so I've been trying to stream at 5 MB per second, 1080p, 60 frames per second, and seeing how that's working out. So far, from what I can see, the quality looks okay. A little pixelated, but that's just probably because I'm so picky when it comes to that stuff because of doing all the benchmarking 4K videos and 4K uploads and all that. So, but what are you guys playing? Did you look me up on Steam or Uplay or Origin yet? Can hook up on there and play some stuff together. You guys can be in one of the videos I put up. That'd be pretty cool. Alright, I guess, let me see. Coming off the front of this case, got to get the USB power switches. Those are all going to be closest to that hole. That's for the power switch, reset switch, and the hard drive LED. And as far as the case LEDs, like I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything with them. This motherboard came with something, some kind of an adapter. I think it was just an extension, but I'm going to double check. Oh, and then I need to get the audio. Let's see, the USB 3.0. Probably going to end up, where's it at on this board? Oh, it's down at the bottom because that's probably can get away with using the middle one for that. That'll get the USB ports hooked up front. And then I need to get the audio, which is all the way over on this end. So now I got that stuff out of the way, I can go ahead and put the motherboard in. Well, unfortunately, let me see if I can figure out how to do this somehow. And have you guys watching too. I'm going to go ahead and drop the motherboard in so that I'm not trying to do that with one hand, guys. This stuff costs too much money to be doing it with one hand. Alright, let's get that radiator in there. Okay, I almost forgot to put my I/O shield in first. Let's go ahead and put that in. Alright. This is one of those nice padded ones too that snaps into place, so got a little bit. What are you doing? You coming to help? Huh? You coming to help? Yeah. Yeah. Any of you guys that can't stand kids, I wouldn't watch too much more on my channel. I got 4 of them. Oldest is 16. And then I got a 7-year-old boy, 6-year-old boy, and a 1-year-old daughter. Papa been getting busy. Alright. Okay, well, we're in, so let's see if I can get you guys over here. Alright, guys, so all I did was screw the motherboard down while I had you paused there. Didn't want to be shaking the camera around like crazy, so I'm going to mount up this radiator and figure out what I want to do with the fans and stuff. So I'm probably going to go higher on that. Blow all this stuff out later on. I know the radiator's dirty right now. One of these started and then I can get my arm out of your guys' way. Alright, so you got a nice hole right there. Let me get my finger out of the way. Right there. That once I put the fans on the front of this, I'm going to run them up through there. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with the ring controller yet, because those fans do not hook up to the motherboard. They are the ones with the controller, the ring RGB 12s, which, like I said earlier, I don't really care about because I don't mind. I usually just have it all set on a solid color all the time anyways. Alright, so that's basically where she's going to go. So I need to get 2 of these rings on here. Now, these are the high static pressure fans, just so you guys know. These aren't the regular. These aren't case airflow fans. These are actual high pressure, high static pressure ones made for radiators. Alright, so in this case, let's see. I'm going to want to put that back through the hole and then mount it there. And let's see, that'd be pushing air through it, which can then exhaust out the front. I think I'll try that. Yeah, I'm gonna try that and see how it goes with this case. So we're going to have the fans pushing through the radiator, and then they'll come out the front, and there's vents up top and at the bottom of this front shroud. I'll show those to you, or the front cover of the case. I'll show those to you when we get it stood back up. It should be okay. And then I guess I'm gonna have to do the GPU fan and radiator on the back. Which I'm not too happy about. So, what's up guys, PapaGames here, and I had to do a lot of stuff without you. My cameras, well, I'm just using my phone and I don't really have enough storage to keep going back and forth. So, alright, so what I did is in the Phateks P400 you can take this plate off, and that let me put the GPU cooler down there, and then I just put it back on and slid it back, the plate here, and then just screwed it down there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is, since the radiators wouldn't stack because there's just not enough room. So what I did was put the GPU one in front of the CPU one, and then put the fan behind it so that they kind of overlap there. And so this fan for the GPU is going to draw in from down here, and then it will exhaust out here. And let me show you over here. You can see on the case it has, this is the front panel. Let's see at the bottom. There's the bottom. So there's plenty of room here for it to breathe. So it's going to exhaust that hot air out the bottom and out the top, and they're filtered also. Okay, so not planning on doing any fans up top. And I got a ring at the back and 2 rings on the front. I'm going to do the GPU in the bottom slot. A lot of people argue about that. It's perfectly fine. You get the same performance as what you do on the top slot, as long as the motherboard supports 8X. I mean, there's no difference. Okay, so the reason that I didn't want to put the GPU up here is because the fan is going to stick out so far that it's going to block off all the RGB for the motherboard here. So I opted not to do that. This way I'll just have the ring back there, and then I'll still be able to use the RGB from that. Plus I didn't want hoses running across this way too, because the hoses would have had to come up from here right to there, and it would have just been really ugly. So as far as cable management, because I know some guys were asking about it, got a lot of custom work so far in this one, guys. But of course the shroud helps hide everything. But as far as all the fan stuff, it's pretty much all coming out from the top corner here. And then on the back, which I'm not completely finished here yet, the Phateks Eclipse P400 comes with 3 of these straps pre-installed. They're great, work really good. These are the cable extensions, so what I try to do is run that down as far as I can towards the bottom of the shroud, and then strap that down to hold it, because it's not very deep back here. So, you know, whereas with the Core P3 it was really deep, here I'm going to have to really tie things back to be able to put the back panel on. Alright, I opted to put my Thermaltake ring fan controllers that also controls the RGB on back here, because once they're set, then they don't change even if you turn off the computer and turn it back on. And if I ever want to change anything, all I got to do is just take off 2 screws off the back, slide it off, and make my adjustment and slide it back on. Now because I took out this panel in the front, I also had to remove the hard drive cage. So right now my hard drive is just in the holster down there, and it's just gonna lay in there, guys. I ain't gonna lie. Because I don't really care. I'm not gonna be moving it around. You know, I just move it one time back to where I'm putting it, and that's it. So as far as everything else, I just run it up along the corners as much as possible. And then, you know, like these here, I'll tuck these up into the edges here. Main thing is you don't want to have anything like running directly across the back side of the motherboard here. One, because of heat. Two, if you have anything kind of exposed at all, you can see there's a lot of exposed ends there, so that could be drastic. So I got the cables for the fans going up here. Got two going to the front and one going to the back here. So my back's going to be exhausting and the front's going to be exhausting. So any air is going to be coming in from the top, which might sound kind of crazy, but with it being liquid cooled, we'll see how temps go, and I imagine they're still going to be pretty good. So that is about a wrap, and I'll make another video for you guys after I finish getting it all put together, and then we'll check out the lighting and stuff like that. So alright guys, thanks for watching. So this is everything put together, and I only got a few seconds to record here. So the next video will be showing you guys all lit up. Okay guys, here it is completed. Everything's put back together, booted back into Windows. Right now I had to reset my BIOS, but we'll get around to that and put my overclock back on there. So to change the lights, like I said, I'll have to have the back panel off. And then it's just as simple as pushing this button there. And then I can change all my rings to whatever we want to. Kind of digging on the white or the red. And then to change the case ones, you just hit the button up here. That'll change all the inside lights. So you can go through a lot of different combinations with this. I have my son come over here and hold the phone for me. Just keep it on that.
Okay.
And I'm going to go grab the glass and put it back on so they can see what it looks like. Okay. So this is with the glass back on now. This tempered glass is nice. It's got a little tint to it, so just an awesome, beautiful case, guys. Can't recommend this one enough. There's just so many different ways you can configure it, and the just the aesthetics, the build quality. Everything's awesome about this case. I love it. The only thing is it can be a little tight to work in, but with some good cable management and if you take your time, you'll be looking like this. Thumbs up. What a beaut. Alright guys, thanks for checking out the video. I appreciate it. Please leave a like. Oh, and also you get the whatever color you got set in the case, your RGB changes up top here. So if we set it to like a blue, and then so it'll be that blue in the case, and then it does blue down here also. Kind of shines down from the front there. So there is an adapter that does hook up to this motherboard. The thing is Phateks has their own adapter that comes off of the RGB, so you have to get an adapter so that you can plug it into the header on an Asus motherboard, so I'm gonna have to order me up one of those, and then I can actually control the case LEDs with the Asus software. So, all right, guys, we'll holler at you later. Thanks for watching.